G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat and heard her fight at Cage Warriors 177. I'm talking to Miss Alish Smith. Alish, I thank you very much for the time coming to me from across the world on the other side of the planet. How are you today?
Mhm. I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and I thank you very much for the time. I know as the fight gets closer, things get more hectic, but how
Mhm.
has it been over in England?
It's been good actually, like because I'm not working, so I've just been training the whole time. So my recovery's been pretty good. Like obviously between training sessions, I'm actually able to, you know, recover because I'm not having to go to work or juggle a million different things at once. So it's nice, good.
It's a very unique scenario where someone's like, "It's good, I'm not working."
Yeah. I suppose my fight camp is my job, so that is my work. But yeah, like I said, I get to put all my time and effort just into that. So good.
You get to experience the true full-time kind of athlete
Yeah,
role.
exactly. Well, what we're all working towards, I'm getting to live it, so it's
E-
good.
Exactly. Well, we'll talk about the fight in a little bit, so I don't mean to repeat myself because I'm sure I'll say it later, but
No,
this is
okay.
a very big opportunity, as I said, other side of the planet. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's everything's taken a step up. The training, the fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty exciting actually. Like obviously Cage Warriors is one of the biggest promotions like in Europe and everything. So to be able to be on that and quite early in my career as well is pretty amazing. So I'm very nervous and very excited for next week.
So how did this come to be? As you mentioned there, early on in the career, you're a young fighter. How does this come to happen?
So I've just recently signed up with PNDA management. So Jeremy Green's my manager now. And he managed to get that fight for me. Obviously, he's got connections all over the place. So I was traveling before we got to England. So I was traveling Australia. I went to Thailand for a little bit and then got to England. And I mentioned that to him when we started working together. I was like, I'm going to be in England. If you can get me a fight over there, that would be amazing. And he's managed to get me one. So
Why were you, if I can ask, why were you going to England prior to the fight?
so like I said, I was traveling, and my boyfriend's from England. So basically, technically, I'm still traveling, so still on the traveling trip. But because his family obviously is from here, we're ending our trip in England, and we're just obviously still here. And then got the fight booked and everything, so just staying here until that, and then go from there.
So something that was originally for fun has now turned into work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is this your partner's house that you're coming to me from today?
His grandma's house. Yeah.
How how does how does his family like it? Sometimes I ask a fighter how their family likes it. You have traveled to the other side of the planet, and you're like, I'm with your grandson in this case. I also will
Mhm.
be fighting in a cage. How do they
Yeah.
find it?
I think they like it. Like they've watched my fights from obviously like when I'm in Australia and stuff, they've watched like online and stuff, and they're all very supportive. And I think they just think it's cool, like that I'm doing that as a sport. Like, so my boyfriend, he does jiu-jitsu and he's involved in all the fights and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of his friends, they're not necessarily into it, but they like watching it and they like the idea of it and everything. I think as well because he's been doing it and I've been doing it. A lot of them want to kind of get into it. So but yeah, they're all very supportive and they all want to come watch me and be involved in it and stuff. So it's actually really cool to be over here to have so many people want to come and support me as well. So
If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, 177 is referred to as unplugged.
yes, yeah. So I think there's two events. So I'm on the Friday night one, which is like I think it's an invite only event, and then there's the one that's on the Saturday night, which is like the sold tickets kind of one. So
So
yeah.
will those friends get a chance to see you, or are they not on the list?
There are a few, so I think I've only got a select amount of spots available. So there are a few coming, but there's also a few that have missed out. So I'm just gonna have to fight over here again, so then can all come watch me.
Oh, easy, just get rebooked.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, a quick night at the office, maybe a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Um, talking about, I was going to talk about it being the invite only event in a little bit, but we'll talk about it now. I do this because I love the sport, and I'm assuming
Mhm.
anyone who fights it loves it too. However, there are certain uniquenesses about it. I always find it like what the sport is purely is two people in their underwear getting in a cage fight. Making it an invite only event, I feel like adds like another layer of like, and the rich will watch. How
Yeah.
is that for you? Is it strange to be fighting at maybe like a more intimate invite only event?
To be honest, I haven't actually really thought about it like that. I suppose um I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest, because I haven't
That's
really
fair.
thought about it. Yeah. I suppose it'll be weird when I'm there more so because obviously like the shows that I have fought and I've always got crowd, like we're always trying to sell tickets, like um it's always a big crowd and there's people everywhere. So I'm not actually sure how many people are allowed at this event. So I don't know how big it's going to be or how many people. So I don't know if it'll be like not a distraction, but it'll be weird not having everyone there, or if it'll be worse have not having everyone there, if you know what I mean. Like I'm not really sure what to expect until I get there, I suppose.
Is it nicer to maybe not have the stress of having to organize tickets?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare in the past. So I like not having to deal with that.
No one showing up fight week being like, I would like a ticket to the fight, please.
Yeah, exactly.
uh Jumping back to when you found out about the fight.
Mm.
Um I know as you said you were already going over there and you was kind of like, I'm gonna be in town, so book me. But when they said, all right, you do have a matchup, what was the reaction? Was there a little bit of like the holiday is now work?
A little bit, yeah. Before this one, I actually had another fight booked. I was meant to be fighting on a different promotion, and I had two girls offered to me, which both pulled out, which was kind of annoying. So I kind of thought that, oh, I'm not going to be fighting. That's kind of whatever. But then this offer came up, and I think we were a little bit skeptical of it, just because it is a big promotion, and like it is the next kind of step up. But I was like, well, I'm here, so I may as well do it. And then I think when it all got in motion, everything, I did get very excited and thought like, yeah, this is cool.
Looking at the professional record, uh there is a victory by strike stoppage and there's a victory by submission stoppage. Um
Yeah.
I associate dominance with the high level grappling, but do you consider yourself one or the other as the record splits? It's 50-50. Do you consider yourself striker or grappler?
I think I would say that I'm a striker, but I think it's because I suppose I prefer striking, and that's when I started. Like I started with Muay Thai, so I've always thought of myself as a striker, and like I was always like, oh, I'm not a grappler. I'll just strike sort of thing. But when I moved to Melbourne and started training at Dominance, like I was primarily doing just grappling. So I kind of feel like I am more of a grappler, but at my heart, I'm still striker. So kind of, I'm an MMA fighter, but I'm torn in between. Like I do really like grappling, and sometimes I do prefer to do that, but I think obviously it starts striking, and I do feel more confident, I guess, just because like in striking, just because that's what I started with and that's what I put a lot of like I suppose when I started I wanted to strike. So yeah. But I'd say I'm both.
Of course, as most
Yeah.
MMA fighters
Yeah.
are now, you have to be very well rounded.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah.
was the grapple, as you said, it's something that you at points you prefer doing that. You know, if people see the Instagram, there's jits tournaments. You know, you're out there and
Yeah.
you're using it. Um, was it something that once you came to it, did you love it like you did the striking?
No. I absolutely hated it when I started. So when I first started training, like I said, I started striking, but then when I decided to do MMA, like I was doing primarily gi, and the gym I was at, it was quite a new like level. So like we're all white belts, and I was the smallest by like 10 or 15 kilos. So I was just getting like thrown around and beat up all the time. Absolutely hated it. I still stuck to it. But then like when I did go to dominance, I started doing no gi, and I was training with people my size, and I was actually doing the things that I was learning, and I was actually all right at it. I was like, oh, this is actually not too bad. I still hated it. I still didn't want to do it, but I began to like it and realize that I could actually do it. I do actually like I love jujitsu now. Like I do really like doing it. So sticking with it obviously paid off a lot. But yeah, when I first started, I hated it. I used to think, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? But I'm glad I did.
On those days where you're like,
Yeah.
this sucks, what keeps you going?
Um, I think like when you get through it, like the feeling of accomplishing that is always, it always feels really good. Like it at the moment, like at that time, like yeah, this is horrible, like I don't want to do it, but then like once it all settles, you're like, if I can get through that, I can kind of get through anything. So it's like it, yeah, it just teaches you obviously to like persevere with stuff, and I think that's like the feeling of it is very rewarding.
Talking about the record, the professional career doesn't start off how you would like it to.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any talking about that? Is there any not blessing, but like you go through the worst. You start and then you lose. And now
Mm-hmm.
does that build that perseverance? And now that you're putting the run together and you're getting the victories, does that then make that feel better?
Yes, I think so. I think with like obviously both my first two losses, like I'm any loss is going to be shit. Like it's not going to be, you're always going to hate it. But my second loss, I'm actually glad I did lose because up until that point, I'd never actually been hurt in a fight or anything. I'd been hurt more in training than I had in a fight. And I was like, obviously, I know I can get hurt in this sport. Like we're fighting each other, it's going to happen. But I was like under an illusion that I can't get hurt and I would go in there, nothing bad's going to happen. So when I actually did get hurt, I was like, shit, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it properly. Like I've got to get in there and I've got to fight. Like, not that I wasn't fighting when I was in there, but like you can kind of see it in some of my fights where my focus changes sometimes. So I'm not fully in it, or I'm not like it's yeah all over the place sometimes. So that second loss, as much as it sucked and I hated it, I'm very glad that I did lose, because then I think that's why I've fought so well in my last two fights.
Talking about the last two to then completely 180 the momentum
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
only win fights but stop people.
Yeah.
How
Well, that
is
was the
that?
thing. It was really good. Like it was the thing. Like I was like, obviously the more I do it, the better these girls are gonna get. And the better they're gonna get, like I can't not fight. So I was like, I have to go in there and actually fight. Because a lot of my like it's amateur fights, so it's not like that big of a deal. But there's a lot of my fights where I just didn't fight anywhere near what I was capable of. And you could see that. And I was either just scraping wins or like just losing and stuff like that. So to like I said, go out there and like 180 it and actually show like what I'm capable of, and to myself as well to be like, actually I can do it. Like I'm actually pretty good at it. Is amazing. Like and those that feeling of winning both those, and like you said, by stoppages is even better.
What what flipped that switch and what made that mentality change to like lock in?
Um, yeah, just it was with Jacinta Austin. That so like thanks Jacinta. So like I said, like she ended up cutting my eye open. So I had like 7 stitches in it. And like up until even then, up until that point of the fight, I was like, oh, like I can't get hurt kind of thing. So when that happened, like in that fight, in that moment, I was like, I've gotten hurt kind of thing. So like after that fight, everything settled down and stuff. And I had to really think about like if I wanted to do this as a sport, like I put so much time and effort into it. I was like kind of half thought about quitting, but I was like, as soon as I thought that, I was like, I don't want to quit. Like I want to keep doing this is what I want to do. I put so much time and effort into it. And I just thought if I am going to do it though, I have to be on and I have to fight sort of thing. So which is just kind of weird. I think it like I said, just because I did lose, like it wasn't really anything I did with myself. It was just like that loss had put everything into perspective, and I was like, yeah, I have to fight, and it's worked. So I'm good.
Last topic on the losses. I promise we'll move on from them. I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
talking about them because they're no one's
Yeah.
favorite thing to talk about. Um, but in a way, this is framing it in a good way. I think both of those are going to age very well. Both those women so far have gone on to be the higher ranks in Australia slash
Mm-hmm.
making that jump. Um, just both of those women, Jacinta Austin and Lisa Kiriaki. What do you make of that? And do you think those are ages that are gonna ages? Those are losses that are gonna age well?
Yeah, I think so. I think my fight with Lisa, that was kind of more uh because I'd fought her a couple of times at amateur and I'd lost to her. So I think that was more of a just like I wanted to beat her. So it was kind of probably wasn't the best fight for me to take again, especially in like the pro one. But like I said, it was a good fight. The one with Jacinta, I think that was a really good fight as well. So like you said, they're both doing very well in their careers too. So yeah, I think yes, they will age out pretty well.
On the flip side of that, rather than talking about people you faced and them, people that you train with. I'm gonna try to not mess up her last name. Adele Forniarino.
Fornerino, yeah.
Fornarino nailed it.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't see this.
Perfect.
What doesn't help is that I was probably going to message her and ask for an interview. Probably not going to get that well. No, but she's coming off a huge double win at ADCC.
Mhm.
Knowing that she's someone that you share the training room with, what
Yeah.
confidence does that give you? Where you're like, man, I'm grappling with like the best girl.
The only annoying thing about that is like when I moved to Dominance, she ended up moving to WA. So we had like a small bit of training together, but then she moved. And then once she moved back to start this year, we went traveling. So
Bro.
we've kind of missed it a little bit. There was a time there where we were coaching together and was training with her like quite a lot before COVID and stuff. So that was really good. Obviously she's progressed so much more since then. But even like the couple of months that I had training with her when she moved back and before I went traveling was really good. So we're similar sizes. She's absolutely amazing at jiu-jitsu. So just even just having someone the same size is a massive help. Because obviously, like all us girls, we always train with guys, but then as soon as one thing I find really hard is like training with girls or fighting girls is we move so much different to what boys do. So you get so used to these big, strong guys, and then even though the girls are smaller, they're different strength and they're more flexible and stuff. So having her just in different positions and stuff, it was super helpful. And like I said, when I go back to Melbourne, I'm very excited to train with her again.
You've kind of mentioned it there, but I'd just like to get some of your more thoughts about it because I find it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The last two women I've interviewed, they've held training with men very high. They've been like, I
Mm-hmm.
train with guys all the time, so I'm used to this and I'm used to that. Um, but as you said there, like that's not always great. That's not the huge boost that everyone maybe thinks it is. So what is it like to have other females in the training room? And do you think training with men's overhyped?
I think both have their place. Like obviously it's good to train with guys because it does toughen you up a bit and it kind of I guess it makes you a bit more headstrong because you've got to like if you give up a little bit, they'll not take advantage of it, but obviously like if you how do I word it? Obviously they're going to be stronger. So like if you don't put 100% in, they're just going to easily stop you from doing stuff sometimes. So it's good to have that resistance to get used to strength. But like I said, like girls, most of the time they're much more flexible. They have a different kind of strength. Like they're smaller. It's a bit different. Like when I roll with bigger guys, I find it a lot easier because I don't have to move as much to get out from underneath them, or I can move in a different way to be better than them. But with girls that are my size, I find it so hard to keep hold of them because it's the same kind of thing. They don't need as much space to get out from from underneath me or anything like that. Or they can, bend their leg up over the head or they can do these little things that guys can't do. So then when you get used to rolling with bigger, stronger guys, you change your game a little bit to suit that. So then when you roll with smaller girls that are the same size, they do not obviously not weird things, but different things. So then you've got to try and change your game to that. So going from training with guys all the time and then fighting a girl, like it's sometimes I find that a little bit hard. So having training partners, like I said, Adele, similar kind of size and stuff, it's really good because you get used to moving in like the ways that you need to when you're actually competing.
We were talking about it before we started a little bit, and you've mentioned it throughout the interview here and there about the travel. You've been traveling around, not just traveling over to England at the moment, but was why the travel? Was this like were you like 2024 is going to be the year of travel for me?
Kind of actually, yeah. So I've wanted to travel like my whole life. Um, my boyfriend, he wants to travel as well. So like he's from England. He's been in Australia for the last 10 years. But we were thinking about traveling for ages. We kind of weren't sure what we wanted to do, but we had some friends come over from England last year, and they were on a working holiday visa. So they had to leave and go back to England or just leave the country in June of this year. So that they came over to Australia last year and stayed with us. And they were like, oh, we've got to leave by this date. So we're like, you know what? We'll leave with you. And so, and obviously because they'd come over from England, they wanted to travel Australia, and we wanted to do it. So we did 3 months just up the East Coast, and then back down. And then went to Thailand for about a month, and then came back. Well, came to England, and we've been here for the last 2 months or something. So it was something I already wanted to do, but then just because we had other people that wanted to do it as well, we were like, you know what, why not? We didn't really have, obviously we had jobs and a house and stuff, but we didn't have any major commitments. So we gave up our rent and like left the gym and everything, and then off we went.
As I mentioned, you're over in England at the moment. It's holiday, but it has turned into business.
Mm-hmm.
While you were traveling around the East Coast, was it holiday but business? Did you get a chance to stop in at gyms on your way across the coast?
Yeah, so we kind of planned that as we were. I had this wild idea. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna travel and fight at the same time, and obviously that didn't happen. It's happening now, but at the Australian time didn't happen. But we, as we were traveling, we were like mapping out gyms as we went, so we could stop in and train. So because Sam and I obviously trained full time. He was a coach at Dominance, so going from training and being at the gym 6 days a week to then not having anything was a bit like, it was good for the first little bit because it's a bit of a break, but then I was like, all right, I need to train now, I need to do something. But yeah, so as we were driving up the East Coast and down and stuff, we were just checking out gyms along the way. And it's actually how I met Jeremy, and how we kind of got onto him being my manager, so it all worked out pretty well.
Check in on old mate Sean Gauchi.
Yes, exactly. I trained with him for a little bit too.
You mentioned about getting a chance to see like the different bodies and stuff, but how was that experience to be able to travel, go to different places, and just like every few days you're working with completely new people?
The thing, it was kind of humbling sometimes as well, because like when you're in the same gym all the time, you get used to the same people and the same games and how people move and stuff. So when you're constantly changing gyms, you're always getting different looks and stuff. So you're doing your same thing all the time, expecting it to work, and then all of a sudden this other person's doing something completely different and just shutting you down. You're like, the hell? This usually works. Or the opposite, or like, you try something else and it does work. And you're like, oh, okay. Or it's good as well because you're just learning from so many different people, and it just opens your mind up a lot. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Plus, you have the added pressure of you are the outsider coming in. You're
Yeah,
gonna be like, who the hell is
exactly.
this chick?
Who does she think she is?
Yeah, coming in our gym. Just because Adele's from
Yeah.
your gym doesn't mean you just come in our gym.
Yeah.
Where have you been training over in England? Is there one gym?
uh yeah, so I've been training at GCA in Grimsby, which is Grant Combat Academy. So Jack Grant, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's actually fighting on PFL the weekend after my fight. So he's just got a gym in Grimsby, just been training there. And then every Monday I've been going over to Leeds to train at Badco as well, which has been pretty cool.
Old school grandfather clock going off in the background during
Yeah,
that.
there's another one about to go off in a minute as well.
I feel like that's very stereotypical. I don't know why I associate grandfather clock with England, but it feels like probably Big Ben now that I
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah, that's true actually.
With that traveling, and I can't wait for the to go off during this next answer.
I know it's gonna go.
I almost just want to like pause for it, but we can't just stand and just like sit in the call in
Just
silence.
wait for 10 seconds.
Yeah, just like the weather. Um, but when you are doing that traveling, home is dominance, but you do get those opportunities. Who is in the corner for this fight?
So originally Jack was meant to be in it, but he's actually cornering another guy on the same weekend as me, so he can't be there. So Sam, so my boyfriend, he is going to be in the corner, and one of the guys from the gym that I've been training with is going to be in there as well. So it's a bit different to what I'm used to. Like I said, not this. Oh, Sam's usually in my corner at home anyway, so that's the familiarity. But it's a bit weird not having like a head coach sort of thing. Like obviously Jack's been coaching me, but he's got his own stuff going on. So yeah.
How is that? Have you
There it
tried?
is.
Yeah. To be fair, I can't hear it in this one, so it's
Okay,
actually
that's
okay.
good.
Um, have you done with this? Obviously, as you said, Sam has been there before. You're familiar with him in the corner.
Mhm.
Do you think that means he might take more of a lead role in the corner?
Yeah, I think so. So he'll be like the main coach for this one, which is good as well because obviously like he was coaching at Dominance and he's been in my corner before and he knows like how I work as a person and how I work as a fighter and obviously we've been training together for a long time. He's a good person to have like as my head coach there. So
But fighters can need like so many different things in the corner. It's something I really find
mhm.
interesting when I talk to coaches, because the way you corner one person might be different. And of course, Sam knows you, so that will
Mhm.
be easier for him. But have
Yeah.
you, with this other person in the corner, have you had to be like, don't talk to me about this, just talk to me about it? Have you had to like prep him on how to corner you?
No, I haven't because we found out, I think it was maybe 3-ish weeks ago or 4 weeks ago that he was going to be cornering this other guy. We kind of already knew he wasn't going to be in the corner, but if I had known he was going to be in the corner, I would have, yeah, definitely prepped him to be like, if this is happening, say this to me, or like, don't say this if this is happening.
I need the Rocky
But
speech. I
yeah.
don't need anything else. It's a very awesome opportunity for yourself, a very unique one in general, because so few, very few times when you fight overseas are you there for 2 months before.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
does it feel like the overseas experience?
It feels kind of weird to be honest, because it's like obviously like the last few times I've been here, it's always been on holiday, so it feels very much like I'm on holiday. But then also just with all the training on top of it, so it feels kind of weird. Like obviously I'm still training very hard, and like I said, I'm putting a lot of time into my training because I've got so much time to do that. But it still feels it doesn't feel like a fight camp. It feels like fight camp, but nowhere near as much as what my other ones do. Because obviously at home, I'm getting up super early to train in the mornings to hit pads or to do strength conditioning or running or whatever. And then I've got to go to work and then fit another session in. And then it's much more chaotic. Whereas this, it's a bit more relaxed. Like the training's still hard and I'm still training a lot, but because there is that free time in between, like I feel awkward and a bit weird, like restless. Like I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Go out and do hill sprints or something.
Yeah.
Just
Like
just
I
to
feel,
get,
I,
sorry,
I
continue.
feel too I feel too recovered.
Yeah, just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Just gonna start lifting weights is something to
Yeah.
do.
Start
But
triathlon training or something.
run a marathon right after.
Yeah.
Um, but after talking about, there's a huge opportunity. It's awesome that you have it
Mhm.
to rewind. I'm going to refer to it as 1.5 fights ago, because the fight didn't
Yeah.
happen and ended up falling through.
Mhm.
But because to give context, you were meant to fight for a title here in Australia.
Yeah.
To have that opportunity taken, and then a year and change later be like fighting on the other side of the planet in like one of the biggest promotions in Europe.
Yeah.
What is that like?
I feel like it's a good trade-off. I feel I'm quite happy that didn't happen then. But yeah, when that fight fell through, I was devastated because I think I found out on like the Tuesday of fight week, and I just got a message just saying like, "Hey, I've got some bad news, kind of thing. Can you give me a call?" And I was like, oh, "You can't be serious." And then when they said that that fight wasn't happening, I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough. Next show we'll get on." And then it just kind of kept getting pushed back and pushed back. I was like, "Yeah, we'll get you on the next show," or "We've got this fight coming up." And there's always like a kind of like a promise, like you'll have a fight at this time, and it just never happened. And it was horrible, really, because I wasn't like fully in camp, but because I was being ready for a fight to come up, I was just in a camp for like a year and a half with nothing, like with no fight. So that was pretty shit. But like you said, like thinking about then and like now, like I've got this massive opportunity, like other side of the world, like one of the biggest promotions that there is. Like I'm kind of grateful that that didn't happen. Obviously, it would be nice to have a belt, but there's still time for that. So yeah, it's
Of
pretty
course.
cool.
Uh, with that, as you said, you were kind of stuck in camp for a year and a half.
Yeah.
What does that do to a fighter? Both your skills, but also like your body. Are you just like super worn down after doing it?
As a skill wise, I think it's probably again why I have done so well in my last couple of fights, I suppose, because I've been training so much, like it put a lot of time and effort, and obviously different opponents that I've been offered, I've had to style my training for them. So I've worked on different things like stylistically. So that's been very helpful. Like obviously my game's gotten a lot better and I'm a bit more well-rounded because of that. Um, body wise, like I was very tired. Like I I wasn't like because I wasn't restricting food or anything, but like because I wanted to be ready and everything. Like it was that constant like I'm dieting now, I'm not dieting, I'm dieting now, I'm not dieting kind of thing, and just overtraining and not really having a rest. Like I probably could have stopped training a bit because I didn't have fights coming up, but then I also didn't want to not train and then not be fit enough. So it was just yeah, like it probably wasn't good for the physical side of it like that way. But I'm all right now though.
Also, I have to imagine mentally that's very draining to be like, I'm not locked in,
Yeah.
but I'm on, but I'm off, but I'm on.
And so that was the other thing as well. Like I still went out and did stuff and still celebrated things and went and like was still a bit social, but at the same time I was always like the thought of, oh, I might have a fight. So like, or if there was a show coming up, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have you on this fight. So I'd be like, all right, I can't go out, can't do this because I've got a fight coming up. And then all of a sudden, oh, you don't have a fight. I'm like, well, what? Like, so that was pretty shit. Like having to yeah always say no to stuff and then being like, well, I could have just done it anyway, sort of thing. So yeah,
You are fighting Rhi Rhi Hudson. Did you know anything about her before you were offered her?
no, I didn't. No, I think I actually before I got offered, I think I may have seen like her highlights pop up on Instagram or something. So I think I had actually like I'd seen her like literally a week or something before I got offered her, or a week or two before it. And I didn't really like I saw her and I was like, oh yeah, she's pretty good. And then I got offered her and I was like, oh, okay, sure, why not?
Now that you have found out who she is, done the research that you
Mm-hmm.
need to do and such, what do you make of her as a fighter?
She's obviously like she's very good. Obviously a lot of her fights. I think she's only had a few fights, but most of them have all been finished in like the first round, like less than a minute or something. So she is very aggressive, and she obviously probably like hits hard. Like she does look very strong. Um, but I don't know if she's had like striking fights, or I think she's maybe had a couple of Muay Thai fights, but um I don't she hasn't got like a big MMA experience. So I think she's had maybe like 4 or 5 amateur and then she'll be a second pro. So I think she'll be good. She'll be very aggressive. Like I said, she'll be strong. But she hasn't had the cage time that I've had. So I think that'll be a big advantage for me.
We talked about it being so like early on in your career. Is that
Mm.
almost a weird moment of like you're the veteran entering this fight?
Yeah, it is kind of weird actually. Yeah, she's very new to the sport, so it is a bit strange.
We talked about it, at the top. I asked you, do you consider yourself the grappler or the striker? As
Mhm.
you mentioned, I think she has had some striking experience. Her fights, she strikes a lot. Do you think this will be like the grappler versus striker matchup, or will part of you be like, let's stand him back?
I I'd like to say it would be striker versus grappler, but I feel like I will probably want to strike with her. I think like her striking looks good, but I think I can outstrike her, and I think yeah, the striker at heart will want to prove that.
Is there ever is that difficult to quell the striker at heart if, and this is just not for this fight, just any fight, when the grappling presents itself, where on the inside you might be like, let's strike, and you're like, no, we have to fight smart.
Yeah, I think so. Because like I said, I naturally just want to strike. So I until it's like the grapple is happening, I'm like, oh, maybe now I should grapple. But before that, like even before the fight, I do think like I can grapple or like I might shoot or that kind of thing. But um, it's not until it's like happening that I do it. Like I have the intention to, but then I just end up striking. So um, but yeah, so just I also depends what happens in there. I think she's a purple belt, so like I said, it'll probably be yeah, it's probably like evenly matched kind of thing. So I'd like to think I can outstrike her.
Probably gonna bust out the twister.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, just there's gonna be a lot of Imanari rolls going on.
Yeah, full jits match.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna be like, when did
Yeah,
they put ADCC in the cage?
yeah,
Welcome to Cage Warriors.
yeah.
Uh, Did you have any striking matches before you made the jump to MMA?
Yeah, I'd had a couple of Muay Thai fights and a couple of boxing fights as well. Yeah.
How does it compare when you're making that walk and you're mentally preparing yourself? Do you have to do different things?
Um, I think MMA is harder. Well, for me, it was because there was so much more to it. Like, obviously, with boxing and Muay Thai, it's like you just have to worry about the stand up. There was a massive gap in between when I did boxing and Muay Thai to when I started fighting MMA as well. So, um, but I think obviously, yeah, with boxing and Muay Thai, you don't have to worry about going to the ground. So it's like there's a lot going on, but you only have to worry about standing up. Obviously, with MMA, there's so much more that can go wrong, and there's so much more that you have to think about. Um, I think with me, like I think too much about what could happen rather than like what's happening at that time. So like the walkout is yeah a bit more of a bit harder to overcome, I suppose, because there is so much variability in it. So yeah, I'd say the MMA walk is a little bit harder than Muay Thai. I think as well it's a bit more hyped up. Like the Muay Thai fights I had, like you kind of just walk out like a very short distance. Like you kind of on the side and then you walk to the ring. Whereas like MMA, you're like out the back and you walk down this big like walkway and there's music and it's like all eyes are on you kind of thing. So it's a bit more daunting, I think.
What made you want to make the jump from doing boxing and Muay Thai to MMA?
Um, I actually had no intention of doing MMA. I did start doing Muay Thai when I was about 15, and then I kind of fell out of it. And then I got back into it, or got into boxing when I was 19. And then I did that for a year, and I was, you know what, I miss kicking people. So I was like, I'll go to Thailand. So I went to Thailand for a few months and trained that. But just before I went to Thailand, I started training at my old gym now, Spartan MMA in Warrnambool. And my coach there, he was like, if you want to make money out of this, like the sport, MMA is the better way to go, kind of thing. So I still went to Thailand and did all that, but I kind of thought about it. And then when I got back, I kind of just switched over. I just, yeah, I didn't really have, like I said, I had no intention of doing it. He kind of just said, you know what, try this and do this and you'll enjoy it. And I did enjoy it. But like I said, I didn't like the jiu-jitsu part of it for a long time. But yeah, kind of like I guess I was gently pushed into MMA.
The concept of joining MMA for the money is like barbaric, but that's also very funny.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, those high paychecks in MMA.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, gonna be rolling in it.
Yeah.
Um, I hate to do this, but I'm going to anyway. Me, I'm not a tattooed person.
Mhm.
I know many a tattooed person, and I do avoid the like, what does that one mean? What is that? What's that one mean?
Why
That
did you
be
get that one?
Yeah, literally. What does it mean? What's it symbolize?
Yeah,
That being said, you do have a boat tattoo on your leg, and
I do.
I found that interesting. I was just wondering why the boat.
It's the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean,
That's
and I really
awesome.
like that movie, so it's on my leg.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there text around it as well, or is it just the tattoo or just the image?
Uh, yeah, I've got writing underneath it that says "Not all treasure is silver and gold," which was one of the quotes from Jack Sparrow, and I actually got that quote before I got the ship, because I really liked that quote, and then but you know what? Why not put the ship on top of it? So
Which is your
yeah.
favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
I think the first one, the original, yeah, is good. The first and second I like, but yeah, first one's definitely my favorite.
You can't beat the classics.
No, it's always the way to go.
Have you ever traveled to America before?
No, I haven't. It's definitely one of the places I want to go.
I want to say
But
maybe you
no,
could
haven't been yet.
go to one of those either Disneyland and or Dreamworld or whatever they have over there, and they've got the
I
Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yeah, I actually went to Paris a few weeks ago and we went to Disneyland in Paris and I went on the Pirates of the
Oh,
Caribbean
okay,
ride.
never
So
mind.
I've
Perfect.
done it.
Were you like, it's the boat? I got the
Yeah.
boat.
I'm here, it's on me.
Yeah, it's me. Maybe I am Jack
Yeah.
Sparrow. Did you get a chance to meet? Did they have like the people walking around where they're like, I'm Jack Sparrow?
They had a few, but not as many as I thought there would be. Like they have Minnie, and like Mickey and Donald and stuff like that. But I think they had it was Jeffy from Toy Story, it was Jafar from Aladdin, and there was Rafiki from Lion King. Got a photo with him. That was good. But not as many people walking around as what I thought there would be. So that was the only bad part. Everything else was great.
Step the game up, Disneyland
I
Paris.
know. Yeah.
Messed up. How is Paris? Is it recovered from the Olympics yet, or is stuff still crazy? Well, the Paralympics going on, so
Well, when I went, it was in between the two of them. So like the Olympics had just finished and Paralympics was just about to start. So it was a bit chaotic, but it was kind of in like the lull of the crossover. So it was all right.
that must be. I'm sure this is something you didn't even consider, but it must be strange because in any other scenario, if you're walking through public, there's a probably good to high percent chance that you're the highest ranking professional athlete. But
Not
that,
then.
yeah, like you picked the one window where it's like that guy
Yeah.
might be doing the pole
Like,
vault.
yeah. He's probably going to win gold soon.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one time of the year, one time
Yeah.
of a 4-year cycle that you pick to
Yeah.
go to a place. Um, Alish, I thank you so much for the time. It is greatly appreciated. I know it is getting later in the night over there. Between now and the fight, what's on the cards for you?
So I've got a couple, like 2 more days of like hard training. And then pretty much just onto the weight cut and going to, so the fight's in Manchester, so heading there on the Wednesday, then weigh in Thursday, fight Friday. But yeah, pretty much not much between then. Just obviously just sharpening up the last few bits and just doing all like the mental preparation and dieting stuff, and that's about it really.
And then how long have you got left until you come home?
Uh we haven't actually booked flights yet, so it's still it's open-ended trip. So we're still just trying to figure out what we're doing and when we're going to come home. But probably the next month or so, I would imagine we head back. So
If anyone from the Board of Tourism is watching for
yeah,
England, the visa's approved. It's totally
also
fine.
keeping an eye on me.
Yeah, actually, her flights aren't booked.
Yeah.
Get her. Send the police. Well, Alish, I thank you so much for the time. It is a pleasure to speak to you. Best of luck in the fight. You got home cheering for you.
Thank
Even though
you.
it will be, I think, 2:30 in the morning back home on the 21st.
I think so. I think it starts about 6:30 p.m. here. So
Yes.
yeah, whatever that time is. I'm not sure what time I'm on yet, but yeah, if you want to get up nice and early and have a watch, go ahead.
Yeah, or stay up from the night before.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
It will be Saturday the 21st over here at home, early
Hmm.
morning. Not Sunday, that's not how dates work. Friday the 20th for you
Yes.
over in
Yeah.
England. Best of luck in the fight. Eventually, when you do come home, safe travels, and I thank you so much for the
Thank
time.
you. Great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been good.